So if he wins, how many of John McCain's promises would come back to haunt him? We're going to see what our panel thinks about that. Back again with me are Tara Wall of the Washington Times, talk radio host Ed Schultz, and the New Republic's Michael Crowley. Welcome back, everybody. And Tara, I do want to start with the Iraq stuff because McCain has been adamant that there would be no timelines for getting out of Iraq. But today it basically sounded like troops are out by 2013 was the year he used. How can that not be a timetable?
Well, and troops will never essentially be out. I mean, he has said that all along, that troops won't essentially be out, but the major fighting and people dying and that kind of thing is his vision for what would happen by 2013.
But how is that not a timetable?
Well, it's not a timetable. I mean, you could argue that it is a timetable, but I think he's not putting it down on paper. He's saying this is a vision of what I see could happen. If you look at the tone of his speech, he said a number of things. He talked about tax reform and having I mean, a lot of folks would say the borders would be secure and immigration reform. And, you know, there are a lot of lofty things there that we'd all like to see. I think it's trying to lift the spirits right now. We're in a down period right now, a lot of frustration. He's trying to lift the spirit of Americans the same way George Bush did when he first came into office, inherited a recession, 9/11, corporate scandals, to say, listen, we can get through this. We're going to push ahead. And the only thing about whether this will come back to haunt him is if he hasn't locked down anything concrete. And that's going to be where Democrats might have a little bit of leeway to come in there because he hasn't said anything tangible. It's a rosy picture of where we'd like to see things. And it's
Americans setting those kind of benchmarks. But Michael, let me ask you about something else. In the last election, you know, we heard a lot about fear from the Republican Party. In this speech, as Tara, I think, pointed out, it has a very Reagan-esque Morning in America feel to it. I mean, is there a political calculation there?
Sure. I mean, it's a well-worn theory of American politics that optimism sells, optimism works. You know, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton did great selling optimism. And look, what other choice does McCain have? I mean, he can't promise to continue Bush's policies, so he's got to, you know, make an omelet out of broken eggs and say, well, things are so bad, I'm going to get us back to where they were before they were that bad. So that's really the only place he can go. I just want to make one quick point. When you look especially at the domestic agenda, remember, it really does seem like a fantasy because McCain is not going to have a Republican Congress. I mean, look at what happened in that Mississippi special election. Democrats are getting ready to steamroll. He is not going to be able to get a domestic agenda through the Congress.
Well, so wait. The reason those victories took place, though, those were conservative areas, and those Democrats ran on conservative
I want to
issues.
talk about that later in the show.
Sure.
But Ed, let me get you in on this. I mean, are we looking at gridlock?
Well, Campbell, can I play the violin music with John McCain on this? The country's not with McCain on Iraq. He's got an image problem. He's a warmonger.
That's not true. That's why he's running even with Obama right now. How do you explain that one?
But you do have to look at the numbers. 82% of the country thinks we are headed currently in the wrong direction. I mean, how does a speech like that work in this climate? Go ahead, Ed. You can have it. I'm seeing you out,
baby. Thank you. I'd like to do this a little uninterrupted here, if I may, for just a moment. You know, John McCain's a warmonger. He's got an image problem with the American people, and now he's trying to reinvent himself like, hey, we're actually going to have a timetable, and 2013 is what we're looking at. The fact is, this is the same guy that has called Democrats on the carpet for possible surrender, for cut and run, for appeasement. He's gone right down the list. The problem is you can't trust John McCain. The American people aren't thinking about 2013. They're thinking about 2009. They're thinking about $12 billion a month and the loss of life, and he has no end in sight. He has no plan to end it. It's just a dartboard. It's a guessing game. Let's play the violin music. It's a sad foreign policy. It's more Bush.
Aside from Ed's point, I mean, more generally, the speech was all rhetoric. It's not like he talked in any detail about how he'd do any of this, and he's always criticizing Obama for doing nothing but
the American people want detail. The American people in our sixth year, they want detail.
You're right.
Okay, Ed, now it's Tara's turn.
American people would like details from Barack Obama and John McCain. Quite frankly, Barack Obama is
It's very clear that Obama's going to get us out of Iraq.
If you could give me a chance to finish, Ed, I think the point is that the majority of Americans, if you look at the polling, majority of Americans support John McCain in poll after poll after poll in his leadership on the issue of Iraq and the issue of foreign policy. No one wants to be there right now in the situation that we're in. And I think that first of all, I think
I'd like to know what poll you're quoting.
From Rasmussen to numerous polls over the
I got to back her up on this. I got to back her up on this. We did have a CNN poll that essentially said the same thing.
And quite frankly, and I just looked at the latest Rasmussen poll today with the numbers showing John McCain and Barack Obama in a head-to-head are running in a virtual tie, dead heat. There are issues that he resonates
wants to stay in Iraq. Is that what I'm hearing?
If you please let me finish my thought.
If
you please let me finish my thought. Thank you very much. I think that no one obviously wants to be in the situation that we are in right now. Americans certainly don't want to be there. But I think that you will see the stark contrast.
Then why don't you get us out of it? And McCain offers no exit strategy whatsoever to get us out of it.
I don't work for John McCain.
That's the bottom line.
I don't work for John McCain.
It's more of Bush. It's more of the same. There's no getting out of Iraq with John
rhetoric.
McCain.
I think
you can't trust him on it.
Okay,
he
guys.
is a warmonger.
All right, we're gonna take a little breather.
Name calling never solves anything.
Do a little yoga. We'll be back after the break, but